There's an infinite amount of cash at the Federal Reserve. There's an infinite amount of cash at the Federal Reserve.
Good morning, Bitcoin. Today is Thursday, June 11th, 2020. My name is Thomas Hunt, and this is the World Crypto Network. The price of Bitcoin was down 2.28% in the last 24 hours, with a last of 9,547, a high of 10,012, a low of 9,495. That's $1 for 10,474 Satoshis. Volume was incredibly high for a Thursday, with 11,179 Bitcoins changing hands. The market continues to lean margin long, with 85% heading that direction. Bitcoin dominance was at 65.66%. Checking out our top stories. Pentagon documents reveal the U.S. has planned for a Bitcoin rebellion. That's right. Don't you worry, child. The Pentagon has a plan for you. And because we keep losing our ad rights every day anyway, here's a little bit of the Zhao Tonged classic, the Cyprus anthem, based on the Swedish House Mafia. Don't you worry, child.
Just when the Cypriots were losing faith, that's when I learned about the blockchain. I still remember how it all changed. Satoshi said, don't you worry, child. Bitcoin's got a plan for you. Don't you worry now.
All right, Zhao Tong classic, totally losing our ad rights. You never, ever play music on YouTube. Never do that. Anyway, the Pentagon has a plan for you. Let's see what it is. Bitcoin has struggled to find support in the U.S. government, with Trump, along with Treasury criminal Mnuchin, leading the criticism. Now it's been revealed that the U.S. Department of Defense has war-gamed scenarios involving a Generation Z rebellion that uses Bitcoin to undermine and evade the establishment. Ooh. In the Pentagon War Game, young people born between the mid-1990s and early 2010s use cyber attacks to steal money and convert it to Bitcoin. Documents published by the investigative news site The Intercept revealed. Called the 2018 Joint Land, Sea, and Strategic Special Program, JLAS, the war game is set in 2025 and is intended to reflect a plausible depiction of major trends and influences in the world regions. The scenario, which echoes recent protests in the U.S. and around the world against racial injustice, involves some members of Gen Z, who see themselves as agents for social change and believe the system is rigged against them, begin a global cyber campaign to expose injustice and corruption and to support causes it deems beneficial. It's like our motto. The group, called Zbellion, encourages cyber attacks against organizations that support the establishment, funneling stolen cash into Bitcoin to make small below-the-threshold donations to worthy recipients and Zbellion members. Can we do this? The program, which also reportedly war game scenarios involving Islamic militants and anti-capitalist extremists, was conducted by students and faculty from the U.S. military's war colleges, the training ground for prospective generals and admirals. Whoa. Wow, they have a whole document here. Zbellion. In the mid-2020s, the age demographic known as Generation Z, or Gen Z, began hitting their 30s. Like the millennials who preceded them, Gen Z were characterized as even more comfortable, if not dependent upon, technology in nearly every aspect of their lives. Social scientists frequently characterize Gen Z as having grown up with cell phones and internet usage from a very young age, and interacting on social media websites for a significant portion of their socializing. Image and video intensive media are more popular among this group than textual narratives, and many Gen Z self-identify by the social media communities to which they belong. Uh-oh, trouble coming up. Both the September 11th terrorist attacks and the Great Recession greatly influenced the attitudes of this generation in the United States and resulted in a feeling of unsettlement and insecurity amongst Gen Z. Although millennials experienced these events during their coming of age, Gen Z lived through them as part of their childhood, affecting their realism and worldview. Although themselves stuck with excessive college debt when they discovered employment options did not meet their expectations, Gen Z are often described as seeking independence and opportunity, but are also the least likely to believe that there is such a thing as the American dream. And they believe the system is rigged against them. Frequently seeing themselves as agents for social change, they crave fulfillment and excitement in their job to help move the world forward. Despite the technological proficiency they possess, Gen Z actually prefer person-to-person contact as opposed to online interaction. They describe themselves as being involved in their virtual and physical communities and having rejected excessive consumerism. Well, they just sound really terrible. Oh, I sure we hope we don't have another generation like this. Bitcoin has been increasingly adopted by Wall Street and the world's biggest financial institution since its 2017 price explosion, but remains a tool to fight government control. Maybe this is why they like those altcoins so much. I always wonder why all these magazines are always talking about all these altcoins, but they're never talking about Bitcoin. And they're always saying, oh, this altcoin is going to change the world. We're going to have a database. You can keep your data in it. You're going to have access control in your database. Only administrators are going to be able to edit your database. It's going to be amazing. The Pentagon War Game departments have been revealed after Florida Republican representative piece of shit Matt Gaetz called for the government to freeze the money of the demonstrators after countrywide protests over the killing of George Floyd. Interesting. One of the most important tools in the authoritarian toolkit is the ability to freeze the funding of legitimate political dissent, Nathaniel Whittemore, a Bitcoin and cryptocurrency consultant and strategist, said previously. By separating the infrastructure of money from the infrastructure of state power, Bitcoin makes it this much harder for that type of politically motivated confiscation. Bitcoin has seen a surge in interest in recent months, they claim, due to the coronavirus pandemic and never-before-seen levels of government borrowing.
There is an infinite amount of cash at the Federal Reserve.
True. In the wake of an unprecedented central bank action around the COVID-19 crisis, it seemed like the most relevant of Bitcoin in 2020 was as a hedge against inflation. It appears, however, that its capacity for censorship resistant might be just as relevant. No shit.
There is an infinite amount of cash at the Federal Reserve.
You know, say it twice.
There is an infinite amount of cash at the Federal Reserve.
That's right. 3 reasons why Bitcoin price continues to reject at $10,000. Because it's a big round number, and it's big, and it's round. The Federal Reserve's Open Market Committee meeting, the liquidation of $14 million worth of short contracts, and the continued resilience of the multi-year resistance from 10,000 to 10,500. So like I said, it's because it's a big round number. The Federal Reserve had a meeting before the sudden spike in Bitcoin volatility. During the meeting, Federal Reserve Chairman stated that the job market may have hit rock bottom. Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? Since March, institutional investors, well, let's just check in. What's going on right now? Dow Jones Industrial Average, give me a refresh. Oh, it's even lower. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is down 4.36% in the last 24 hours, with a last of 25,813. Looks like the previous close was 26,989, so down 1,176 points today. It looks like reality might be coming back to the stock market. Could it be the coronavirus? The jobs reality? Anyway, we want investors to price in risks like markets should. The Fed should never hold back support for the economy because it thinks asset prices are too high. Popping the asset bubble would hurt job seekers. Despite positive data coming out of the Fed meeting, both the stock market and the Bitcoin price dropped after it was held. Within a 30-minute window, $14 million worth of Bitcoin shorts were liquidated on BitMEX alone. Compared to other exchanges, the price of Bitcoin rose higher on BitMEX by around $100. Dun, dun, dun. Enough of that. Let's keep going. Trump's top banking regulator is a Bitcoin bull. The acting comptroller of the currency shows his crypto roots. I'll believe it when he sees it. Let's see. Oh, not bad. His last job, general counsel to crypto powerhouse and Bitcoin hater, Coinbase. So that's all right. Of course, blockchain is not the problem. Blockchain is the solution to our problems. Oh, great. So he believes in blockchain, Bitcoin, Ether, and XRP. In particular, XRP. All right. In his proposed rulemaking, he targeted a rewrite of existing regulations on bank digital activities. The request for comment signed by Brooks asks how artificial intelligence and blockchain technologies could be incorporated into strictly regulated banking operations. Blockchain, artificial intelligence. Well, why don't you just use Bitcoin? Banks use antiquated methods to transfer money. It takes 3 days to send money. Okay, so why don't you use Bitcoin? So they want to use a digital representation of value. The Fed has a version of faster payments. It took the Fed 10 years to get where they are with the Fed's version of faster payments versus blockchain, which is instantaneous and immutable. Yes, the Bitcoin blockchain, the real blockchain, not any of these other nonsense blockchains. XRP. Oh, he mistakenly calls XRP Ripple. We're doing that now, are we? The artist formerly known as Ripple. They're not connected at all. Don't tell the Ripple people. I'm very bullish on technology, said Brooks, now governing the agency that once governed his fate. Things like AI, things like blockchain have a better ability to leverage the wisdom of crowds. It can look more like data points than it can look at more data points than the human mind can possibly imagine. It gives you a better insight on what will most likely happen tomorrow. Oh, this is great. Full disclosure, the author once worked at Ripple, a blockchain company that sometimes uses XRP for cross-border payments in a fashion similar to SWIFT. At the time of this writing, I do not own XRP. I really need this dun-dun-dun button. That'll work. All right, let's keep going. Bitcoin scammers take YouTube channels for a SpaceX ride. We talked about this yesterday. It's been going on for a while. You put up a fake YouTube channel, you put up a video of Steve Jobs or Elon Musk, and offer Bitcoin giveaways to anyone. They raised $150,000 in Bitcoin from stupid people over the last few days. It's your average scam. You say, send me $10 in Bitcoin. I'm going to send you $20 back. Except I never send you the $20. It just passed my mind. Whoopsie. So This is pretty common. It's pretty obvious. People are pretty stupid, so this just keeps happening. Bitcoin stuck below 10K as stocks drop. Yes, yes, yes. We know this. Some analysts still expect Bitcoin to continue taking up the mantle as a new safe haven asset. While Bitcoin may meander on its march to 20,000, future shocks may actually hasten the flight from public markets and accelerate Bitcoin's rise. Future shocks like the Dow Jones Industrial Average. We're refreshing, nothing's happening. Still down 4.36%, almost 1,200 points in the last 3 or 4 hours. Hi-oh. Check out the World Crypto Network store at worldcryptonetwork.store. You can get the new Bitcoin Not Bombs Bitcoin Halving Edition t-shirt, the classic Bitcoin t-shirt by Davi Barker and Bitcoin Not Bombs is back in the World Crypto Network store, coming in bright Bitcoin orange and a selection of other colors. You can now get the Bitcoin airplane dropping Bitcoin like bombs on the people. Bitcoin Not Bombs t-shirt at worldcryptonetwork.store. Checking out the price of Bitcoin in the last 24 hours, the price of Bitcoin is down 2.33% in the last 24 hours, with a last of 9,554, a high of 10,012, and a low of 9,482. That's $1 for 10,469 Satoshis. Volume was incredibly high for a weekday, with 11,377 Bitcoins changing hands. The market continues to lean margin long, with 85% of the market heading that direction. Bitcoin dominance was at 65.63%. Dow plunges 1,000 points, heads for worst day since April, as airlines and retailers drop. Stocks fell sharply on Thursday as coronavirus cases increased in some states that are still reopening from lockdowns. Shares that have surged recently on hopes for a smooth reopening of the economy led the declines. The Dow Jones Industrial Average traded 1,007 points lower, or off by 3.8%. The S&P slid 3.1%, while the Nasdaq Composite dropped 2.2%. Thursday's losses put the Dow on pace for its first 3-day losing streak in a month, and for its biggest one-day drop since April 1st. The S&P 500 was also headed for its longest losing streak since early March. I swear this article is written by computer. Shares of United Airlines, Delta, American, and Southwest all dropped more than 7%. Carnival Corporation, Norwegian Cruise Lines, shares fell more by 12%. Gap and Kohl's shares traded lower by 6.8% and 9%, respectively. Netflix and Zoom Video, two stocks that have benefited from consumers staying at home during the pandemic, rose 1.8% and 3.4%, respectively, clawing back earlier losses. Concerns about an obvious, predictable, and no-nonsense scientific happening second wave of coronavirus cases have risen as some U.S. states push deeper into reopening. Texas has reported 3 consecutive days of record-breaking COVID-19 hospitalizations, which were completely predictable. 9 California counties are reporting a spike in new coronavirus cases or hospitalizations of confirmed cases, the AP reported Wednesday, which was all predictable and obvious and just stupid. Friendly monetary policy from the Federal Reserve cannot offset a severe second COVID wave. No shit, said Dennis D. Boucher, macro research analyst with Evercore ICI, in a note. With Texas, Arizona, and California, new cases and hospitalizations increasing, Investors are concerned that a recent protest will fuel a wave of infections. The risk of persistently weak economics and earnings growth has increased. S&P fair value estimates are falling as a result. They say Arizona and Texas never got a first wave, so it's not a second wave. Yeah, that's right. So we'll keep an eye on that. The downdraft followed 2 straight days of losses for the 30-stock Dow and S&P 500 as investors ditched reopening trades for mega-cap tech names. The tech-heavy NASDAQ, however, jumped to a record high on Wednesday and closed above 10,000 for the first time. The Dow and S&P 500 are still 40% up from the coronavirus low. We'll see how that goes. Thursday moves also followed the Federal Reserve warning on Wednesday that the U.S. economy will contract by 6.5% in 2020 before expanding by 5% next year. The central bank also said it will keep rates at historically currently low levels through 2022. The Fed understands that we are just in the beginning phases of the economic recovery, and making rash changes to policy or forward guidance is premature at this time. Charlie Ripley, senior investment strategist for Alliance Investment Management, said via email. Weekly jobless claims rose by 1.5 million last week, slightly less than the Dow Jones estimate of 1.6%. Continuing claims, which reflect the number of people receiving unemployment benefits for at least 2 weeks, declined by 339,000 to 20.9 million. And now, the news. I'm afraid there's a lot of news. Everything about this is irregular. Ex-judge tapped to review Flynn case, doesn't like what he sees. The retired judge, John Gleeson, said the Justice Department had improperly bowed to the president's will. That's right, the former judge selected to advise on the case against Michael Flynn is accusing the Justice Department of distorting the justice system. John Gleeson is recommending that the judge handling the case proceed to sentence Flynn. What will it take to stop Republicans from maintaining structural racism in our voting? It's a good question. I don't think that we're going to get the answer. Hello from the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, the former sites of protests and police deployed tear gas. The Seattle Police Department's East Precinct is now boarded up, and there are no uniformed officers in sight. But it's not really a lawless place. There's a hot dog stand. So check it out. This is what they're calling Chaz, C-H-A-Z, in Seattle. This is the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone. Everyone's always, what's going to happen without police? Well, turns out it's kind of like a little festival atmosphere. People sharing food. They watch documentaries at night. Here they have a morning wall. There aren't a lot of commercials here. Not a lot of advertisements. There's not a lot of corporate statements. It's a lot really more human statements. It has a different look to it. The Chaz in Seattle. Trump's, of course, calling for the Chaz to be shut down and raided with riot police. Hasn't happened yet, but keep an eye on this space for the future. Brian Tyler Cohen writes, there is no voter fraud. There's election fraud, and it's happening right now in front of our eyes. Reminding us, of course, of Georgia, where they closed most of the polling places, and then the voting machines didn't work. It was incredibly convenient. Yes. Check out Adam Meister. He still has had his YouTube channel taken down. If anyone works at YouTube or knows someone that works at YouTube, maybe we could expedite this. It would be great if he could get his channel back, even if they just let him download it and put it on another service. Adam worked on this channel for 12 years, created over 1,600 videos, and has been making a video every day since 2016 about Bitcoin. So it's really a historical archive of Bitcoin and videos. So I'd really like another video that he talked about his father. So it'd be really nice if anyone knows anyone who works at YouTube. Check out Adam Meister at TechBalt. See if we can get his YouTube channel back, at least so he could download it. We talked about this a little bit in the economics section, but Arizona's COVID-19 spread is alarming and action is needed, experts warn. They're really waving the flag on Arizona. It's time to lock it down again, I'm pretty sure is what they're going to say. And no one wants to hear that. No one wants to do that. But listening to this channel right here where we predicted the second wave because it was obvious, lots of scientists did, and all we had to do was read their work, think about it, and listen to them. If you didn't stay home, you went out there and spread the virus, this is the result. This is the virus winning, right? I'm on Team Human. That's just me. But if you were on Team Virus, oh, wave that flag. You should have shorted humans and went long on virus, right? Yamiche Alcindor, Representative Jim Sensenbrenner, a Republican of Wisconsin, said Derek Chauvin having a job after multiple infractions was an invitation to do more wrong things because he continued to have a job. He says there needs to be a national registry on cops and a way to fire the bad ones. And remember, a lot of that is due to the power of police unions. If you lose your job as a police officer, even for excessive force, that is to say violence against the very people that you were assigned to protect, you can just pull up and go to another town and the police union will help you get another job. It's a lot like priests in that way. If you molest children in one town, they just pull you out and put you in another town so you can molest more children. So it's amazing how these complex systems, which are really easy to understand as systems, when you look at them systemically and you say, oh, the bad cops are moving around getting new jobs. The bad priests are moving around getting new jobs. You can understand what's happening. Then systemically, theoretically, we could fix this problem. Wouldn't that be great? Widespread mask wearing could prevent COVID-19 second waves, but you don't want to wear them because they look bad. Widespread mask wearing takes away your pretty face. Widespread mask wearing makes you look like a cuck out on the streets. So you're not going to wear it. You're going to spread the virus. You're helping turn Las Vegas into a super spreader event where people come here, don't wear masks, spread the virus, then take the virus home to their friends, neighbors, and relatives. So wear a mask, don't spread the virus, be on Team Human, or don't wear a mask, help spread the virus, and be on Team Virus. Just know who you're playing for. Know that you would prefer a virus to take over the earth than humans. That's the team you're on. So wear a mask. It's not that hard. It's not that expensive. Price of Bitcoin was, I hate it when I do that. Oh, damn you, Twitter. They tricked me. I clicked on an image. Anyway, the price of Bitcoin was doing some crazy, jagged stuff, moving up and down. We were watching it. And you know how when it goes crazy up or goes crazy down, it's definitely going to go crazy up and down again. So I love to watch that crazy price of Bitcoin. Here's the jagged arrow that I caught earlier today. Look at that. 98.19 Bitcoin rocketing up from 97.55. Of course, the minute I took the picture, it went over the top and went back down. But still, fun times. Hey, check it out. Remember payphones? You used to be able to communicate anonymously, just put a coin in the slot. Pretty amazing technology. Required some wiring, though. They're ripping them out at McCarran Airport here in Las Vegas. No one uses their payphones anymore. Everyone uses their cell phones when they get off the phone. And, of course, now they're afraid of payphones spreading the virus. So, end of an era at Las Vegas Airport, McCarran. President Trump seems to continue to celebrate Confederate generals. It's not entirely clear that he understands that the Confederacy fought for slavery and lost. Just a reminder in case you're not aware of the Civil War. Trump says, It has been suggested that we should rename as many of 10 of our legendary military bases, such as Fort Bragg in North Carolina, Fort Hood in Texas, Fort Benning in Georgia, etc. These monumental and very powerful bases have become part of a great American heritage and a history of winning victory and freedom. The United States of America trained and deployed our heroes on these hallowed grounds and won 2 world wars. Therefore, my administration will not even consider the renaming of these magnificent and fabled military installations. So obviously there's a major logical fallacy here that he's experiencing. If you change the name of the military base, it wouldn't change the hallowed ground, right? The ground would still be the same. And the fact that we trained troops and deployed them from those grounds would still be the same. So this is some kind of disconnect in the brain, some kind of logical fallacy that's come up here, as well as the reality that he says Hood, Bragg, and Benning and others represent winning victory and freedom. They lost the Civil War, first of all. Also, they defected from the U.S. The big thing to understand about Robert E. Lee, the reason that he's not a hero, is that Robert E. Lee worked at West Point, right? He was a major military, he's a general. He was a trainer of other generals, right? Then he took his general corps, defected from the people who had paid him and trained him, the country he served, defected from that country, went south, and led armies against the company and the country that he'd been training and working for the military for. So this is a traitor, right? There's no other way to understand this. Robert E. Lee is a Benedict Arnold. I mean, they're right up there. So very strange to see this continuing to happen. And again, I think you're defending the wrong thing unless this is about something else. So we'll see how that goes. Because of this tweet, the White House delayed the briefing 30 minutes, then handed out President's tweet about the White House delayed the briefing 30 minutes, then came President's tweet about not renaming military bases, and the press secretary came out to read it. So not sure what Caitlin's saying there, but it does sound like they had to delay the briefing because of the random crazy tweet. And even the press secretary hadn't read it. So she had to wrap her mind around the fact that she's now going to be defending the Confederacy, and she's going to be defending naming military bases after heroes of the Confederacy. So if you were a German, this would be like having a Himmler monument or having a Himmler base or Goebbels Airport. Right? This doesn't make any sense. Nobody does this. We know why they put the statues up. The Confederate statues, most of them were put up in the 1900 to 1920, right? In that period to scare African Americans during civil rights and during Jim Crow, right? It was a negative thing. They put up the statues as a negative thing. It wasn't after the Civil War because people wouldn't have stood for it. It was long enough for people to forget, but not long enough for others to still remember. Let's keep rolling. Bitcoin doesn't care about these. It's never going to go over 10K tweets again. It bounced right up to 10K and then bounced right back down. Looks like our hero, Bart Simpson. There he is again. If you had spent all your years drawing stock market charts, all that work, you could have just known that the ultimate pattern is always Bart Simpson. This is a strange one. We keep having strange news reports for you. The Trump campaign demands that CNN apologize for a poll that shows Biden leading. Yeah, really? Really? Apologize for a poll. So are we getting a little dictatorial, a little authoritarian? Can you feel it? It's out there in the winds. Dictatorship. It's coming soon. Because, yeah, you have to apologize for a poll. Very strange. Scott Dworkin writes, Trump had his lawyers send a letter to CNN demanding they apologize for showing a very real poll with Biden leading. This is what dictators do. Weak, desperate, and pathetic dictators. It's dark. Press secretary says the country seems to be reflexively anti-police officer. Of course, as Yomish Alcindor notes, we're in a moment where people are literally chanting Black Lives Matter in all 50 states and saying that black people shouldn't be killed unfairly and disproportionately by police. That's all they're saying. That's all it is. Donald Trump's corruption is killing Americans. Donald Trump's slow, ineffectual, self-serving, and deadly response to the coronavirus has been the most consequential act of corruption in the history of American governance. Already the history is starting to come out. We will get the emails, we will get the text messages, and then we're going to have hearings about the missing months. What happened in February? What happened in March? Users punish Coinbase by withdrawing a record amount of Bitcoin, whether it's because of their continued outages whenever the price of Bitcoin goes up by 5%, or because Coinbase has decided to support a chain analytics-like company that will be selling Bitcoiners' data to the IRS. Users have finally woken up and are removing their Bitcoin from Coinbase. If you hold any Bitcoin from Coinbase, it's a great time to withdraw them. You could try the Cash App. Cash App even has a recurring purchase function where you can just buy $5 worth of Bitcoin every month, or $10 a month, something like that, maybe $100. And you can just let it run. Coinbase, too complicated, too many coins, and as we'll see later, is once again doing their crazy pump and dump scheme, announcing random coins on their Twitter account, only to pump them and dump them. It's fun. This is a surprising news announcement here. NASCAR announces the display of the Confederate flag will now be prohibited at races. The presence of the Confederate flag at NASCAR events runs contrary to our commitment to providing a welcoming and inclusive environment for all of our fans, our competitors, and our industry. Amazing, mind-blowing news from NASCAR. They're reversing their policy. We can only hope that the Washington football franchise will be renamed next. I don't even want to say their name. It's disgusting. It's been a long time. It's a bad name. You know what it is. They're even trying to come up with similar occurrences for white people or for other groups is horrifying. But yes, the Washington football franchise should be next. SoCal writes, I'm still not understanding the hate for face masks. Not only do they provide health benefits, filtering the air you breathe, but they also help protect your anonymity. That's win-win if I ever heard one. And, although it doesn't affect you, it protects other people around you. If you're sick, one of the main things that the mask does is helps other people around you not get sick. And sometimes you don't even know you're sick yet. And with the coronavirus, that can make a big difference. The San Francisco Police Department seems to be attacking the San Francisco Muni, which is the buses and the trains. San Francisco POA says, "Hey Muni, lose our number next time you need officers for fare evasion enforcement or removing problem passengers from your buses and trains. Shouldn't be an SFPD officer's job anyway. SFPD chief should stop using us for this." And Jason Scott of Text Files writes, "Shocked that during the middle of a tense situation, the Policemen's Association would immediately respond with petulant threats and declarations, moving forward assuming they can do no wrong." And we really do have to watch for this attitude from policemen's associations and policemen unions because they are going to be resistant to the change that the people in the streets are trying to bring. We've seen this in the past with all of the school shootings and the Las Vegas shooting. Everyone tries to bring gun control. They try to bring gun reform, and they end up bringing nothing. So very dangerous out there. We need to keep an eye on this and see how it goes. But yes, we need to make sure that it doesn't happen again. And we need to watch out for these unions and their attitude. It's very strong. Here we are. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. Now we've got the video. President's press secretary went out there and backed the president's conspiracy theory against the 75-year-old protester pushed to the ground by Buffalo Police Department. You can hear his head go pock, crack on the pavement. You can see the blood come out of his ear. The president accused him of being a faker. The president accused him of being Antifa and a crisis actor. The president said that the thing he had in his hand was a jammer. And the president said that he faked the fall, that he fell on purpose, that it was all a trick, right? And he sounded insane. Like, it's one of his more insane tweets, and that's saying something because there are so many insane tweets from the president. And everyone, even the Republicans, even the senators, this is another one of those tweets where you just say, I haven't read it. Oh, I haven't had time to read that yet. Oh, I haven't heard about that. That's what they all said. And again, it's a tweet. It's a paragraph, right? I read it. You can read it right now. It's done. They didn't want to read it. They didn't want to have it read to them. They're running away from this tweet because it just sounded like your crazy uncle at 2 a.m. But not Kaylee. Kaylee is going to go out there. And again, this is what true propagandists do. This is the Goebbels or the Himmler. We wanted to talk earlier about things that we should be celebrating. Again, and now Goebbels Award winner for propaganda, one of the greatest liars in American history. Here she is, Kaylee McInerney. Lie to us. Give us those sweet, sweet lies. Here she is. She's going to be so great. Let's see. Twitter videos are going to work.
Thank you so much. Does the president regret tweeting out a baseless conspiracy theory about a 75-year-old protester on the morning of George Floyd's funeral?
The president was asking questions about an interaction in a video clip he saw, and the president has the right to ask those questions.
But does he regret tweeting out this protester was assaulted?
The president does not regret standing up for law enforcement men and women across this country. And let me say this, and just give you a little bit about the mindset behind the president's tweet. Look, we're living in a moment that is, it seems to be reflexively anti-police officer. And it's unacceptable to the president. In this tweet that he sent out, he was in no way condoning violence. He was not passing judgment on these two officers in particular. But what he was saying is this: when we see a brief snippet of a video, it's incumbent upon reporters and those who are surveying the situation to ask questions. Rather,
upon the president to have facts before he tweets anything out. He's the president of the United States.
the president did have facts before he tweeted it out that undergirded his questions.
Baseless conspiracy theory. Do
It's
you
not a
acknowledge
baseless
that?
conspiracy. No, not at all. I won't acknowledge that because, look, let's contrast this to the George Floyd situation, which that horrific video that we all saw. Every single police officer that I saw across the country came out and said, this is an inexcusable action, and I condemn this police officer. In this case, there were 57 police officers who said, I resign in protest over the way these two officers were handled. And the president says those law enforcement officers have a right to be heard.
But does the president
John.
Magnificent. What a bravoso. What a superior propagandic performance. I mean, truly, in the halls of Hitler, right? Great stuff from Katie McInerney. Like, what stuff? I like the part where she says, let's see.
Have facts before he tweeted it out that undergirded his questions.
That, like, it's not a baseless conspiracy. I won't say that. I'm standing up for it. This conspiracy, I'm standing up for. And she says, you just have to know the facts behind the video. And the president was just asking questions. He didn't know any facts. So again, we're asking, has Kaylee stopped cheating on her college exams? Has Kaylee stopped lying? Because I heard some people say that she's lying. I heard some people say that she's beating her husband. I don't have any facts on that. I've just heard that. And I'm just asking questions. Again, this is classic propaganda 1.0. Katie, really just fantastic work. I hope we can hear some more from her soon. As they say here, history is amazing. In the old days of feudal Japan, a samurai warrior would shout, "You are trying to view Flash content, but you have no Flash plugin installed." Oh, those are beautiful times. Wear a mask. President Trump is going to restart his campaign rallies with one in Oklahoma, Florida, Arizona, and North Carolina, all of which are states that have growing coronavirus outbreaks. So they're spreading the virus and they're spreading the virus. All right. Paw Patrol writers defend the episode where the German Shepherd cop shoots an unarmed black lab 17 times in the back. Los Angeles, explaining that their goal has always been to hold a mirror to society, whether focusing on the power of friendship or a racially motivated killing. The writers behind the hit children's television series Paw Patrol defended a recent episode of the show Friday in which a German Shepherd police pup shoots an unarmed black lab 17 times in the back. What we tried to do in police brutality was to use Chase's gunning down of a weaponless Zuma to start a dialogue, staffer Luis Moon said of the storyline, in which a bigoted Captain Turbot reports a thuggish black dog for loitering in his gated community moments before Chase arrives, mistakes Zuma's bone for a gun, and shoots indiscriminately at the fleeing canine while shouting his signature catchphrase, "These paws uphold the laws." The fact is that whether they're 2 or 11 years old, our viewers are smart enough to decide for themselves whether Chase's family and career should be ripped apart just because of a split-second decision. Our job is to represent the political movement, from the violent Antifa protests to Chase's PTSD-fraught leave of absence, using the only medium we have, and I believe we did that. At press time, the Paw Patrol writers remained silent about the episode involving the deportation of thousands of Chihuahuas accused of stealing jobs and crippling Adventure Bay's economy. Man, that show is getting good. That show is getting serious. This is the real future of Bitcoin right here in developing countries like El Salvador. She's probably bought more real things with Bitcoin than your favorite Bitcoin expert. This is what your average Bitcoin user will look like. The real future of Bitcoin is unbanked in developing countries like El Salvador. Public transit should be free. There's no need for fare evasion if the city budget for public transportation was provided and improved it and offered it for free. Arizona hospitals told to activate emergency plans amid coronavirus spike that was totally predictable, and we told you about it weeks ago. Finally, the official response from CNN General Counsel to President Trump's letter demanding CNN apologize for a poll that shows Joe Biden leading. This letter responds to your letter dated June 9th, 2020. To my knowledge, this is the first time in its 40-year history that CNN has been threatened with legal action because an American politician or campaign did not like CNN's polling results. To the extent we have received legal threats from political leaders in the past, they have typically come from countries like Venezuela or other regimes where there is little or no respect for a free and independent media. CNN is well aware of the reputation John McLaughlin and John McLaughlin Associates. In 2014, his firm famously reported that Eric Cantor was leading his primary challenger, Dave Bratt, by 34 points, only to lose by 11 points. A 45% swing. The firm currently has a C or D rating from 538. In any event, McLaughlin was able to evaluate and criticize CNN's most recent poll because CNN is transparent and publishes its methodology along with its polling results. Because of this, McLaughlin was free to publish his own critique of CNN's analysis and share his criticisms across the U.S. media landscape. That's how free speech works. It's the American way. Your letter is factually and legally baseless. It is another bad faith attempt by the campaign to threaten legal litigation and to muzzle speech it does not want voters to read or hear. Your allegations and demands are rejected in their entirety. Boom! CNN laying it down after that ridiculous letter asking them to withdraw a poll like this is some kind of authoritarian country. Robert Reich asks, I don't know who needs to hear this, but Congress really needs to restore the Voting Rights Act. And remember, it was just a few years ago when Justice John Roberts and his terrible court tore down the Voting Rights Act, saying that racism was no longer present in America. That's what the Supreme Court said. It's fucking insane. But that's it. And then we had more discrimination in places like Georgia, where they were allowed to close polling places that they previously wouldn't have been allowed to close because there was a little thing called the Voting Rights Act. So, oh well. Remember, the Supreme Court's going to make horrible, horrible decisions for the rest of our lives unless something radical happens. I mean, packing the court. Jeff Bennett. Trump says he's against changing the names of forts honoring Confederate generals, which the Army was considering. Recall that Trump called Robert E. Lee a great general when he defended his very fine people on both sides remark about the white supremacists in Charlottesville. Very strange the way he keeps defending Confederate monuments and keeps defending white supremacists and keeps defending racists. And it's very strange, huh? So yes, second wave virus starts to emerge. A month into its reopening, Florida reported 8,553 new coronavirus cases this week, the most of any 7-day period. So remember when everyone was laughing and they're having fun at the beach, out there spreading that virus in Florida? Now you're going to be locked down longer because you couldn't stay inside till it was gone. It's wholly predictable. We talked about it forever. Amazon is instituting a 1-year moratorium on police use of facial recognition technology. That's right. We're just going to wait till next year to hand you over to Big Brother. Handing you over this year, that would just seem wrong. Too much has already gone wrong. But it is a good step forward. I just don't understand the 1-year moratorium. Seems more like a countdown than a moratorium. Antonio French reminds us that the Confederate flag is a symbol of people who tried to destroy America and failed. Remember that the next time you see it flying over a state capitol or stuck onto the back of a pickup truck. It is the opposite of patriotism. New York City continues to spend $6 billion on police alone, more than health, youth, housing, homelessness service combined. And as AOC says, you know what will really fix police brutality? More money. We should just give them more money. That's right. Here's Casey Neistat. Here's a nice video from a fan of Casey Neistat. Let's have him tell his story. It's only a couple minutes, and it's actually positive. We can have some positive news today. Okay, we have some very loud positive news. Let's try one more time. Okay, so he has this neighbor. He has a white guy, has an American flag, and 2 white porcelain bunnies in his front yard. I tried waving and smiling, but something's changed. Yesterday, he saw him walk out the front door with a can of paint in his hand. He bent down in front of one of the bunnies, and he painted the bunny black.
I don't think I've ever had a conversation with you. Oh, that's it. Oh, I've always seen these, and I wanted to come over and say, well, why'd you paint that one black?
I think with the motivation of what's going on in the country, I wanted to gently.
Yeah, that was beautiful. I literally saw that while I was mowing my grass, and I started to cry. And there's this thing called racial bias that I'm trying to help my friends understand that they have. Whereas, someone like me that travels full time for a living will normally have a bias that says, oh, look, it's an older white gentleman with an American flag up on his door. That my bias automatically says, oh, he may not like me. And I just wanted to tell you that I am so grateful, and that I apologize if I ever assumed anything, because that's one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen.
When I was growing up, for some reason, my mother hired a black lady to keep the house up.
Yeah.
Laundry, food, cooking,
Yeah.
raised me, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And she was a black lady. It was
Yeah.
a servant.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she taught me how to do everything.
Yeah.
And I never felt any indifference
Wow.
for her.
Yeah.
And for blacks.
Sure.
So, you know, I could do more. I could paint them both black. But I just said I'd rather have one.
I love that. It was so good.
So how cool was that? The guy painted one of his bunnies black, so he has one black bunny and one white bunny, and the guy went over there across the street, had never met him before, but made friends with him over that. We are watching some very active developments in the price of Bitcoin. I keep seeing the Bitcoinal charts refresh the range as it's unable to deal with what's currently happening. The price of Bitcoin is currently down 3.65% in the last 24 hours, with a last of 9,412. So we've just seen a move from around 9,700 to 9,400. Likely the price of Bitcoin is following the stock market down. Let's check in with the Dow Jones Industrial Average, see if we've had any more movement there. Yes, the Dow Jones is continuing to decline, now down 5.12% in the last 24 hours, with a last of 25,607. That's a full 1,382 points down from the previous close of 26,989. It almost feels like Icarus, right? He stole his father's wings, Daedalus, the great maze maker, the great creator, right? But Icarus stole his father's wax wings, and he flew up towards the sky, towards the sun, in its mighty chariot. And the sun threw firebolts at poor Icarus, and the wax wings melted, and he fell out of the sky. It's kind of like this, right? So we're keeping an eye on the stock market. We're keeping an eye on Bitcoin. We also want to say, hey, if you want to call us, we'll do some calls today. Seems like it's going to be a fun one. We got the price of Bitcoin moving. We've got the Dow Jones Industrial Average moving. It's a Thursday. So let's do some phone calls. If you'd like to call us now, we only have one line. We can have one caller at a time, so don't everybody call at once. But if you'd like to call now, you can call us at 1-518-600-1949 or on Skype at World Crypto Network, all one word. So just type that in. You can get a Skype account for free. If you're international, you can dial #001 or something like that before 01, whatever it is, international dialing. And you can call and join us on the show. Let us know what you think about this exciting day in both Bitcoin price, currently 9,423, and the good old Dow Jones Industrial Average, currently down 5.3%. Warren Buffett's revenge, the beginning of something more. Let's take a look. Let's zoom out on the Dow a little bit. 5 days, things have been going pretty flat. For a month, we'd seen pretty impressive growth from 23,247 all the way up to a high of 27,572 on the Dow. We pull out to the 6 month. We can see the coronavirus crash, the sudden fall from around 29,423, fell to 27, fell to 23, fell to 19, and in the gutter there, 18,591. So that was very low on March the 23rd of 2020. Then we had a sudden bounce back to 22,000 and a relatively reasonable recovery from 22 to 27. Now, suddenly on the down again. We'll see how that goes. Looking at comparisons, it does look very similar to the start of the coronavirus turn. It is a significant flip over. So we'll see how that goes. We're keeping an eye on that, and we're keeping an eye on the price of Bitcoin. Exciting morning. We've got more from Kaylee, king of propaganda, the absolute queen, winner of the Goebbels Award for great work in propaganda. I hear she's up for a Himmler. She's up for multiple Himmlers. And she doesn't even care that they're called Himmler. She thinks they should keep the name. It's part of the history. And she's proud to win a Himmler. That kind of thing. Here we go. Let's hear her defend why the president should not change the name of racist military bases. Why the president should continue to have military bases that honor the names of traitors to this country. Here we go. Defending traitors. Oh, YouTube video. You're the worst. Every time. Here we go. This time for sure. Defend some traitors for us. Do it good. Defend those traitors.
It has been suggested that we should rename as many as 10 of our legendary military bases, such as Fort Bragg in North Carolina, Fort Hood in Texas, Fort Benning in Georgia, and the list goes on. These monumental and very powerful bases have become part of a great American heritage and a history of winning, victory, and freedom. The United States of America trained and deployed our heroes here.
She's reading
and won
the tweet.
2 world wars. Therefore, my administration will not even consider the renaming of these magnificent and fabled military installations. Our history as the greatest nation in the world will not be tampered with. Respect our military. It has been suggested that we should rename.
Oh, that was it. It's just her reading the tweet. Still, though, classic crazy stuff from the president, and she's going to defend it. Uh-oh, we've got more trouble from the coronavirus. Just when you thought it was over, let's look at the maps again. New cases, 65,992. Looks like we're above where the cases were in April, so we're going higher. That's nationwide. Looking at it again. Texas coronavirus. So this is Florida. Florida is up over the top. Texas, looking like a nice steady build, 79,271 cases. And California also way up with 137,230 cases. Arizona up as well, although they might have gone over the top, but that could just be a temporary thing. So keep an eye on Florida, Texas, California, and Arizona. Coronavirus on a comeback. The U.S. national debt has hit $26 trillion, an increase of $2 trillion in 2 months.
There is an infinite amount of cash at the Federal Reserve.
You are correct, sir. Matt Blaze writes in satire, the Los Angeles Police Department doesn't have a Charles Manson statement. The Secret Service headquarters isn't called Lee Harvey Oswald Building. Why are U.S. military bases named after Confederate generals? And I'm not going to look it up, but it's probably the same reason they have those statues in the South. President Trump is against changing Confederate names of U.S. Army bases, removing Confederate statues and monuments. He's against athletes silently protesting police brutality and racial injustice, and he's against putting Harriet Tubman on the $20 bill. It's almost as if the president has something against. I wonder. Keeping an eye on the price of Bitcoin, it's now down 4.61% in the last of 24 hours, with a last of 9,326. Looks like it did go lower, though, hitting a low of 9,256, and maybe bouncing back now. Very exciting news in Bitcoin. The White House goes quiet as the coronavirus outbreak spikes again. It's been a month since they halted their daily coronavirus task force briefings after the president suggested that you inject disinfectant and or light directly into your body to cure the coronavirus. Ever since then, we haven't heard from the doctors. We haven't heard from the briefing. It was like the virus ended because the president said an oopsie. Still silence. As presidential candidate Joe Biden says, this pandemic isn't going to go away just because you want it to, Mr. President. Step up and do your job before your negligence costs even more lives than it already has. Good hit there by Biden. Nice. Somebody getting aggressive on that Twitter account. And get ready for a housing apocalypse. As you all know, Mitch McConnell won't allow any bills to go through the Senate, so the government is broken. The House did pass the HEROES Act, which has gone nowhere, with a second stimulus and more protection for people getting evicted and losing their homes. That bill has not gone through the Senate, so we are going to see a major, what they're calling housing apocalypse in coming months, as more evictions and more people not having jobs, not having money, and now not having any benefits. The unemployment money is going to expire. The stimulus packages, there was not a second stimulus. They only talked about it. They never did it. The Senate never did it. Mitch McConnell never did it. Senator Mitch McConnell is why you have nothing and why things are going to get a lot worse. We could probably read this whole article. It's probably really worth it. Really painful, but we're already past an hour this morning, so we're not going to read that article, but you should really check it out. It's on cnbc.com. A housing apocalypse is coming. It almost looks like a prayer on the side of that building. Forgive our rent. Forgive us our sins. Forgive us our rent, for we have no money. Forgive us our hopes, for we have none. They're saying that Coinbase is rumored to add Bitcoin soon. As Adam Back says, Brian Armstrong, how about building the future? Add Bitcoin Layer 2, the Lightning Network. Reinvest in the future with Liquid and or Lightning, diverting funds to zero sum instead of diverting funds to zero sum alt listings. Adam Back, critical of Coinbase. Brian Armstrong, why don't you add Liquid instead of more altcoins? Because that's a real business model, and he only copies other people's business models. Their motto at Coinbase is, we skate to where the puck used to be, not to where the puck is going to be. They hate Wayne Gretzky around there. Can't stand him. Very negative. President Trump and NASCAR took divergent paths today. It's very strange. NASCAR is now on the side of removing the Confederate flag, whereas the president is on the side of keeping it. Very strange. Coinbase is exploring the addition of 18 new pumps and dumps. Coinbase announced the coins, seeming like this should be illegal, on their Twitter feed, saying, which ones of these coins will we be pumping and dumping soon? Coinbase then allowed people to pump and dump the coins on other markets, making no money for Coinbase. The price of Bitcoin has just broken through 9,300. It's now down 5.15% in the last 24 hours, with a last of 9,260 and falling. We're keeping an eye on the price of Bitcoin, and we also hope that you're keeping an eye on it on the screen in the bottom right-hand corner as well. Check out the new little widget thing that I made with Open Broadcaster. Shows you a live view of what's happening on the Bitcoinal charts. Even has a percentage. You can follow it right there. Price broke through 9,200. It's continuing to fall. It's funny, I just watched the end of Tone Vay's show this morning, and he didn't say anything about this. So this must not have been scheduled. Again, the likely explanation for what's happening right now is that Bitcoin is tracking the stock market. Looking at the stock market again, the stock market's off another half point. It's down 5.57% in the last 24 hours. That's a full $1,500, I guess, $1,500 down. It's at 25,486. But that's to say nothing about Bitcoin, which just broke through 9,200 and now has battling out 9,100. I'm going to open up the chat, see what you guys think about this Bitcoin crash that we're experiencing in the middle of the show. Just like to ask everybody to give us a thumbs up and a share. We might have to go on a little longer here. Definitely going to open it up for phone calls if you guys want to co-host or phone call and hang out. Jeremy in the chat says, Bitcoin is not dumping. It's on sale. It's just a very fast-moving sale. We might have seen the bottom of the sale. Bitcoin hit 9,084 and now is experiencing a bounce back to 9,200. They say it's not really a crash. Zoom out above 9,000. It's still very bullish. Jeremy says Coinbase is down again. No way. You got to be kidding me. I'm checking this in the other browser window. I want to confirm. Okay, so at least their front page loads. Let's see. Sign in page. I don't know. It's loading two-step verification. I think it's going to load. But yes, if Coinbase does go down again, that would be hilarious. We're watching the candlestick charts on Bitcoin here live on bitcoinal.com. Our friend DJ Booth built that. And you can see there is a small green candle, possible recovery from 9,084 up to 9,200. And we're going to see what's going on. They say Coinbase Pro may have crashed. So I can't confirm right now. It is hilarious. And I used to make fun of them just because it was funny, right? And I was being a little absurd, right? I was like, oh, Coinbase always crashes when it goes up. And then now it does keep crashing. So very strange. Not sure what's going on. They say anything above $7,200 on Bitcoin is okay because that'll maintain in the channel. So we'll stay in the channel there. I'm going to scroll back a little bit, see what else everyone's been saying. They're always excited that there's an infinite amount of cash at the Federal Reserve.
There is an infinite amount of cash at the Federal Reserve.
Other people are saying they want coronavirus hats and T-shirts and shoes. I don't know if I'll be the one to make those. As kind of funny as I think it is, I did kind of see the sponsored mask trend coming, and I didn't really want to be involved with it, and I still kind of don't want to be. I know it's fun to put your favorite slogan on the mask, and even I almost bought the Pickle Rick masks that they were trying to sell me on Facebook. It would have looked like my mouth was a pickle. You know, I've turned my mouth into a pickle, but I couldn't quite go there. It doesn't seem like a great idea to profit off of branded personal protective gear. That doesn't seem quite right. But again, to each his own, right? We're very excitedly watching the price of Bitcoin. Seems like it's cooled out a bit in the 9,200 range. It did just suddenly fall from 9,700 to 9,450 or so. Held there for a while, then dropped suddenly to 9,084. As Jeremy says, it's in the chat. It's on sale. Operators are standing by. You can buy Bitcoin at this low, low price. So interesting stuff. They say the video is only buffering. Not sure about that. Let me know if we're having video issues. Otherwise, we're doing the standard open broadcast thing. Jeremy says someone might want a pickle in your mouth. Uh-oh. That's funny. But yes, Coinbase Professional still seems to be down. People say, will the libertarians flip out when the penny finally drops that Bitcoin is socialized money? Well, you're going to have to explain your idea more about what's socialized about it. But that'll be interesting to see. We're going to go back to the news for a little bit. Looks like the price is 9,250. But remember, thanks to this amazing little widget in the corner, you can continue to watch the price live while we do the news. It's amazing technology thanks to Open Broadcaster. Very cool. Let's see what else we got. So yesterday we were looking at more of those interesting Bitcoin line things. It was still going up and looking good. And of course, that's probably a good sign to sell the top. Whenever I think it's going up and looking good, it goes up, and then like this Wile E. Coyote just smack right into the top and right back down. So, A&E is canceling the TV show Live PD. It was on the brink before they were thinking about it. It was on the bubble, and now it's down with cops. So no Live PD, no more police department shows, no more police department movies and toys, all this stuff. It's going the other way now. So Stuart Stevens writes, I'm a 7th generation Mississippian. I've helped elect governors and senators in Mississippi, Atlanta, Alabama, Georgia, Texas, Oklahoma, North Carolina, and Florida. Trump will lose more white voters with his Confederate defense than gain. Majority very much want to move past the Civil War and hatred, not relive it. NASCAR gets it. Trump doesn't. So even in the South, they're not supporting Trump's decision to stick with the Confederate flag and to stick with the monuments. Check out Ben Ark on Twitter at BTC Socialist. He's continuing to making amazing new things on the Lightning Network. Check out his brand new NFC card, Tap and Pay. The payer does not need to be online. You can store multi-use Lightning URLs, and you can spend at a minimum and have a secret key on the NFC card. On the tap, the amount and the timestamp are sent to the card. Using the key and the card hashes, you can get the funds later, so you don't have to be online anymore to have a NFC card reader to accept Bitcoin and Lightning. Pretty cool. Trump is going to Dallas today to do a photo op, go to a fundraiser, and then go to his New Jersey golf resort. We're at the height of a pandemic where over 115,000 Americans have died with over 2 million infected, and he's on vacation. Pretty bad. Larry Celebra's got a great quote here from Bastiat. When plunder becomes a way of life for a group of men in a society, over the course of time they create for themselves a legal system that authorizes it and a moral code that glorifies it. And it's an interesting combination of themes. I just watched CPG Gray's How to Be a Pirate a few days ago. It's really good. He's got 2 different versions. One is from the captain's side, and one is from the quartermaster's side. And it was really great to see piracy examined in really economic and marketing detail. Then I'm playing this video game called Assassin's Creed Black Flag, and it's also about pirates, and you get to have your own ship and drive around and take over other pirate ships. It's pretty fun. And even in this game, they were talking about the necessity for piracy and how many generations they'd been doing it and how the pirates end up building societies. Because a strange thing about this game, part of it, you're playing in the past and you're a pirate. The other part, you're playing in the future. And it turns out that you're some kind of a video game tester or a person that's really good at playing video games. And you're reliving the life of someone's famous pirate ancestor, meaning that what he said was true and that the relatives and descendants of the pirates do continue to run the corporations after their successful piracy. So it's a very interesting thing that Larry brings up with the Bastiat quote, saying that over the course of time, these pirates would create a legal system that authorizes piracy and a moral code that glorifies it. That one's a way homer. I think there's some capitalism in there as well as kind of thinking about drug running and other things, how the legal system authorizes it and the moral code glorifies the acquisition of capital, right? Glorifies it. Interesting stuff. We've got a newly discovered, let's see, is there a video? Yes, there's a video. It's a 2019 incident from Oklahoma. The man, Derek Scott, tells the police before dying, "I can't breathe." And the officer responds, "I don't care." So once again, it's not a surprise to anyone who's been paying attention, but another horrible story. Another man lost his life in Oklahoma this time. Derek Scott, aged 42, from 2019, seemingly murdered by police, allegedly. Breaking news, the Jefferson Davis Monument, honoring the former president of the Confederacy, like, fuck him, obviously, was torn down overnight. This is one of 5 major Confederate statues on Monument Avenue in Richmond. So I would see that as a checklist. 1 down, 4 to go. And again, if you want to preserve them, tear them down now and put them in a museum. In a museum setting, these statues, which are naturally works of art that show a human-looking form. I can't make a statue that good, obviously. Many people can't. It's a skill. Only some people can make statues and so forth. So it is a nice statue, and it does represent history. And in a museum with an appropriate plaque and an audio tour, it would be a very valuable way to learn about history. Out on the street, I don't really think we have the need for them anymore. I don't know why we had the need for them in the first place, except that they celebrated great men, rich men. A lot of times these are sponsorships. A lot of times these are just people pass away and they want to celebrate them. I don't know, but we don't need these monuments anymore, and it's impressive to see this happening in the South. Trump still has no police reform plan because he's a racist who thinks there isn't a problem. And it really is shocking not just to see no speeches from the president. There's no plan. There's no experts being gathered. Normally, the idea would be if you didn't know a lot about race relations, you would have some experts come in. You'd have meetings with them and discussions. And if you used your power of empathy and thought about what it might be like through their shoes, through their eyes and their lives, you could then understand and help to develop a policy, have something that could fix the problem. Instead, we've had protesters in the street for 14 days now, or maybe more, a couple more probably, and it looks like it's going to go on. There's no plan to end this. There's no plan to improve things at a national level. Maybe there's mayors and there's ground-up plans, but otherwise, I guess this is going to go on. Now, again, some of the good monuments are getting caught up with the bad monuments. That's why what you really have to do is just kind of be proactive and say, hey, we shouldn't have random statues around anymore. We have the internet. You can look up what the people did. You can look up who they are. And it would be better off to have these nice statues in a museum. Let's just have some more museums. Because rioters in Philadelphia are defacing a statue of Matthias Baldwin, an early abolitionist who fought against slavery 30 years before it ended. So they've made a mistake there. This isn't the first one. It's not the last. But just in general, let's put these statues where they belong, in a museum, not on public land, in a museum where we can understand them. Interesting stuff continuing to happen in Hong Kong. I'm not sure about this. We're going to see. Western money won't leave. It isn't here for the civil liberties. Chinese money, on the other hand, has no reason to stay if Hong Kong becomes part of China proper. And I'm not sure how much China's really thought about their decision to destroy Hong Kong, but they're going forward with it anyway. Hong Kong had a unique status and a unique value to them as another option and another port, and they're pretty much going to lose all of that if they continue to crack down on human rights, as they've said, with they're going to pass that backdoor amendment, which will allow them to extradite prisoners and to punish people for speech. Remember in the RoboCop movie when corporate America aids criminals and helps incite riots so that they can lower property values and buy up the city while privatizing the city's police force? Science fiction is so crazy. And if you haven't, check out Paul Verhoeven's classic RoboCop, the original, the first one. It's a story about Frankenstein. He's half man, he's half machine. Is he human? Is he a robot? And like he says, there's a ton of political satire in there. There's a television station that's just full of stupidity. It's where the great phrase, "I'd buy that for $1," that's where that comes from, is RoboCop, the fantastic parody of television that turned out to be completely right, completely ahead of its times, both about the television and now it seems about the police and the corporatization of police. Impressive stuff from RoboCop. Maybe if we had more time, I'd be able to read JFK's speech at the American University. I'll pull it up maybe for later, see how long it is. But truly a fantastic speech. It's way too long. I'm not going to read it today. But this is the one of the JFK speeches where he warned about the Soviet Union and worse forces that are working against us. And very great speech. All right, fine. I have to read just a little bit. What kind of a peace do I mean? What kind of a peace do we seek? Not a Pax Americana enforced on the world by American weapons of war. Not the peace of the grave or the security of the slave. I am talking about genuine peace, the kind of peace that makes life on earth worth living, the kind that enables men and nations to grow and to hope and to build a better life for their children. Not merely peace for Americans, but peace for all men and women. Not merely peace in our time, but peace for all time. I speak of peace because of the new face of war. Total war makes no sense in an age where great powers can maintain large and relatively invulnerable nuclear forces and refuse to surrender without resort to those forces. It makes no sense in an age where a single nuclear weapon contains almost 10 times the explosive force delivered by all Allied air forces in the Second World War. It makes no sense in an age where the deadly poisons produced by a nuclear exchange would be carried by wind and water and soil and seed to the far corners of the globe and to generations yet unborn. Today, the expenditure of billions of dollars every year on weapons acquired for the purposes of making sure we never need to use them is essential to keeping the peace. But surely the acquisition of such idle stockpiles, which can only destroy and never create, is not the only, much less the most efficient means of assuring peace. Great stuff from JFK, John F. Kennedy. Almost reads like a speech from today, with the continued problems of nuclear proliferation and nuclear weapons haven't gone away at all. 1963. Steve Mnuchin, Treasury Secretary, doesn't seem to know that the coronavirus spreads more easily indoors than outdoors. He doesn't know what people will do when it rains. He doesn't seem to understand that the cloud carried out of your mouth would go further inside than outside. Some studies even saying it could be 3 to 4 hours inside, that a cloud that someone coughs out could still have the virus in it. That's why we need to wear masks. Then the person wouldn't cough out such a cloud. Here's a march through Oakland right now, more than 2 miles through the flatlands of the city and up the hill to what they believe will be the home of Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf to demand in person the defunding of the Oakland Police Department. So, seen a lot of people try to take away from the protesters the flag of defund the police, and I've seen people say that it's too radical or it's too much, but we defund all kinds of organizations when they're not working. We defund organizations even when they are working. So it's not unreasonable at all to hit them where it really hurts and to hit them in the budget. After all, as the Rick and Morty great example once showed, these people aren't doing it for free. You know, as much as they like beating up people and smashing them with clubs, if you told them that you weren't going to pay them, they probably wouldn't come back the next day. So all you have to do to stop the problem is stop paying them. More Ethereum stuff, blah, 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 Ethereum, who cares? Let's look at the view from space. This is from the Dragon space capsule today at the space station. There it is, Earth from space. Doesn't look so bad from up here. I have a headache. Do you have a headache? Oh, important update. The activists who destroyed the Christopher Columbus statue have investigated themselves and found no wrongdoing. So there you go. That's just what the police do, right? Internal Affairs investigates it, and there's no wrongdoing. So that was great. The Romans debased their currency and wrecked their empire. People don't learn. Let's see if we can open this up from Plan B. And you can see the chart right here, the collapse of the Roman silver monetary system. We can see the collapse right here. Then no silver coins are minted anywhere, and they go off the silver standard, and then we see the full collapse of the Roman currency. Maybe there was too much lead in their pipes. And I think we've played this before. This is a People of Humanity story. It's pretty nice. They've put some text over it explaining everything that happens, but they save the dog. It's pretty amazing. Everyone works together and forms a human chain. Do you need something positive? Let's watch this. Oh, God, YouTube. What a decision, man. I wish I could talk to the guys. I was like, YouTube, why did you decide to unmute videos when they go full screen? I was just like, it was a random choice. And now you can't read the things because it's too big. Well, the strangers start grabbing each other's hands to create a human chain down the slippery surface. If one man loses his grip, they all risk drowning. But these strangers chose to trust each other. They try so hard to reach the man and the dog, but it proves impossible. He hopes they'll be at least able to reach the dog. Maybe if you throw the dog, no luck. No matter how hard they try, they just can't reach it. Climbing up more, and they slide back down. Just as everything seems hopeless, two things happen at the same time. Our hero in the water managed to join the chain, and a new hero arrives. And he doesn't hesitate. He joins the chain instantly, immediately jumps in to help. They try the dangerous mission one more time. Now all 5 people are linked on the wall. And the chain is finally successful. They can pull the pooch to safety. Aww. This group of strangers risk their own lives to save an innocent soul in need. There you go. So there's a nice positive story for the day. They saved the dog. It's an oldie but a goodie. And now back to the news. Remember when Craig Wright claimed that he had a supercomputer? It was actually one of his first false claims. It was here in Washington. It was here in Las Vegas, and I was at the conference, at the Bitcoin Investors Conference a while ago. I filmed it and put his first speech live on the internet there. And one of the things he said is that he had a supercomputer and that he'd been simulating Bitcoin. So my first obvious question was, how'd the simulations go? You know, what happened? I wish I had the results of a supercomputer. Unfortunately, I wasn't the moderator of that panel, so I wasn't able to ask him that question directly, and it never got asked. As it turns out, he didn't even have a supercomputer. He manipulated the results to fake the specifications of the computer. When examined more closely, the results show inconsistencies and errors which should not occur. So they made fake versions of the computers. He never even had a supercomputer. Someday we just might find out this whole Craig Wright thing has been a fake. The whole thing. Checking on the price of Bitcoin, it seems to have stopped falling, at least for a minute, hitting a low of 9,084 and recovering to now 9,311. Keeping an eye on the price of Bitcoin, and we're also watching the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Quick refresh. Looks like the Dow has straightened out as well. Previously down 5.5 points. The Dow is now only down 5 points. So it's gone up about half a point or $200 worth. Still down 5% for the day. $1,371 down on the Dow. And we got 2 chasers. I'll have to save this. We're going to save this other chaser for later. Let's keep going. Oh, here we go. Finally something fun here on Twitter. This is satire, but he does it so well. It doesn't seem like satire. So let's go full screen, and let's see if Twitter video can deliver us some laughs in the middle of our day. No, Twitter video won't. Why does it do this? It's unbelievable. Like, you think they could be able to test this? I don't even think I'm running an ad blocker or weird software or anything. So, oh well. Twitter video breaks if you try to play multiple videos in a row from the same browser window. It seems really complicated, but, you know, whatever. Oh, and now no sound at all.
That NASCAR's not going to let their fans... So I just seen on Fox News that NASCAR's not going to let their fans fly the Confederate flag at their races no more, and that pisses me off. That flag is history. You need to leave it alone. It's heritage, not hate. It just so happens that my heritage is hate, and I'm like Linus from Charlie Brown, and that treason rag is my security blanket, and I don't feel safe if I can't have it. And how is it a symbol of hate in the first place? Just because it was a flag of a group of people who went to war to fight for their right to keep another group of people as property and treat them as subhuman? I don't think so. You're just giving into PC culture, NASCAR. Shame on you. I can't watch no more football. They're taking the Confederate monuments out of the park by my house that I just learned we had and all of a sudden care deeply about. And then there's you, NASCAR. You traitors, you Benedict Arnold. You need to leave politics out of it and stop making me question my morals. Unless it's Donald J. Trump driving around the track at the Daytona 500 earlier this year, you need to leave politics out of it. All of you, I wish all these bands would just shut up about politics and play their songs about politics. Stop making me think about stuff. So today, I'm going to raise my emotional support beer to you, NASCAR, because I'm done. And you're going to need this once all us fans boycott you. I'm done. And to all my fellow ex-NASCAR fans, I'm sorry for your loss. And I'll see you at the Brickyard 400 in July. And as always, fuck the NFL and go Coats.
Coughing trouble at the end. Uh-oh. Great video there. The thing about really good satire is it does kind of really climb that line. And right there's parts of the video where you're like, is he, you know, in favor of this? Is he against this? You know, he drifts back and forth. A couple of key lines calling it a treason rag, so on and so forth. Pretty out there, but great stuff. Very funny. And Trump is now tweeting about the Chaz. Remember the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone in Seattle where they're watching documentaries and eating hot dogs? Radical left Governor Jay Inslee and the mayor of Seattle are being taunted and played at a level that our great country has never seen before. Take back your city now. If you don't do it, I will. This is not a game. These ugly anarchists must be stooped immediately. Move fast. So pretty deranged tweet, not just the use of the word stooped instead of stopped, but calling the Americans anarchists. And again, we keep trying to dance around this word of what kind of other we're going to define the enemy as. Remember, in enemy theory, you always have to have an enemy. So, you know, maybe the enemy was something else before, but it just moves around and you always have one. So the new enemy now is Seattle and these people in the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone. So other countries have autonomous zones for years. There's a famous one in Denmark called Christiania, where, I don't know, originally I guess it was like a hippie drug festival and you could go around and do whatever you want. And now it sounds like the mafia has taken over or something. But still, there's some level of freedom there and some level of just the police having a hands-off zone where people can be people, and we see what happens. So more and more of these adventures and experiments may be tried soon. Trump is having a rally on Juneteenth. a day when many Americans commemorate the end of slavery in a city that was home to a 1921 massacre of black people, one of the worst racial atrocities in the nation's history. So pretty shocking stuff. The president's going to be speaking in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where the 1921 massacre took place. He's also going to speak on Juneteenth, commemorating the end of slavery, I guess. The United States has recorded a 36% increase in daily COVID cases over a rolling average of the past 3 days, according to a CDC document obtained by Yahoo News. Most European countries are dropping rapidly. And of course, weeks ago, we talked about why this was going to happen, how the United States has flattened the curve, but not dropped the curve. Not dropping the curve meant that there's still virus out there, and when we released the people, that they would spread that virus. This is what we predicted against everyone at the time. Everyone was so excited to reopen and to get their haircuts and to go gamble at the casino and whatever else they were all excited to do. We stayed home. We told you to stay home. And now there's a 36% increase. So it's really boring because we knew it was going to happen, and it's repetitive and it's sad. It's tragic. Books will be written about it. All the experts knew. Anyone who bothered to read the experts could have known. That's the only reason I knew. I read the experts and I looked at the charts and I was like, yeah, this isn't over. And everyone agreed. So Craig Spencer, MD, writes, as the hotspots continue to emerge, I offer this promise I first made months ago. This virus will continue to cause rolling outbreaks across the country until we take it seriously and respond appropriately. Instead, we've declared mission accomplished in the middle of battle. Couldn't have said it better myself. Elon Musk had so much to say about county ordinances and fascism last month, but now that Tesla workers got sick, he is oh so quiet. And remember when Tesla defied orders so they could restart production? Days later, workers tested positive for the virus. So it doesn't matter if you're Elon Musk and Tesla. It doesn't matter. The virus doesn't care. Remember at the time everyone was celebrating it? Elon has plants in China. They know how to control the virus there. They're going to control it here. But we know the only way to control the virus in your plant is to quarantine your workers and have them live at the plant. That's how they managed to produce all that PPP back in the days. It had the workers live at the plant for about a month. And it wasn't great fun or anything, but they made clean masks and no one got sick. Tesla reopened and people got sick. Told you so. Secret Service for Donald Trump Jr.'s Mongolia trip to hunt rare sheep cost $75,000 to the taxpayers. I don't know why we're paying for this. I don't know why he's hunting rare sheep in Mongolia. And again, if you support this guy, if you support this family, I'm sure you have a lot in common with them. I remember my last sheep hunting trip in Mongolia. Oh, I've been 3 times. Oh, you've got the new rams? You've got to get the new rams. Everyone's hunting sheep in Mongolia these days. What is going on here? Check out Charlotte, where they've just added a new graphic to their street. Check out Black Lives Matter. What a cool mural. It's got all the letters filled in, different colors and shapes. Let's see if we can get a closer view. Zooming in, enhance. Well, you can't really see a closer view. A lot of it is taken up with buildings. Looks like there's a Deadpool in there. Some gold bee, kind of maybe a Bitcoin, Charlie Brown looking. Very cool mural right there in the middle of the street in Charlotte, North Carolina, mirroring the other mural in Washington, D.C. Black Lives Matter. Will this news never end? I like this idea, though. I got to read this. The biggest effort to rename Post is to reflag Fort Hood after Roy Benavides, who in Vietnam was shot so many times while rescuing comrades that he was thought dead until he spat in a doctor's face. Pretty cool. That's a cool story. Meanwhile, Hood killed U.S. soldiers to preserve slavery. So that doesn't sound very good. Let's get that other guy who was shot so many times they thought he was dead. Let's name some stuff after Roy Benavidez. NASCAR truck racer Ray Sorelli says he's quitting after the Confederate flag ban. So there you go. Race of one. What a horrible look. What a horrible idea. But there you go. If you need somebody to follow, he'll probably have his own NASCAR truck races. He'll race himself, and he'll be the master race. He'll be the best race. Trump's fence around the White House is scheduled to come down, so the protesters moved all the art across the street. So just like in Hong Kong with the preservation of the Lenin walls, made with Post-it notes and people's thoughts and prayers for Hong Kong, we see the artwork from the president's wall moved across the street. So the artwork continues. Here's an example how talking, breathing, and coughing compare with and without a mask. On the left-hand side, you can see the man breathing and coughing as normal. You can see how far the projectiles are propelled. Look, when he coughs into his elbow, doesn't spread anything at all. The man on the right is wearing a mask. You can see almost nothing is spread. You'd have to be right up against the mask to really get any virus from this guy. Wear a mask. This is science. Science. The Army was totally open to renaming these military bases. This could have happened with no trouble at all. They could have just started renaming them. Would have been no big deal. Bragg is long dead. All these people are long dead. They don't care that their names are on military bases. But the guy at the top does. And again, here he is again, Trump. Now he's praising the SS. It's very strange. The acronym for the United States Secret Service is USSS. The acronym for the German secret police, the Stuffe, is SS. So very strange to see the president using SS in his tweets today. Face mask policies in Germany had staggered state-level introductions. 2 new studies have used this timing variation to try and estimate the effects, the relationship between masks and behavior, and the estimated infection reduction. So it's interesting to say that wearing a mask and the idea that you have to wear a mask changes your behavior. Maybe you won't do that extra stop. Maybe you'll go home sooner. Maybe you won't take the mask off. Other things like that. They changes your behavior in addition to blocking the things coming out of your mask. So there's 2 reasons to wear a mask. It changes your behavior. It makes you more aware of the pandemic and the situation going on around you. And it blocks the virus. Good stuff. Max Kaiser slammed Coinbase's plans for new listings and called them a casino, which is really what they are. And I can't believe they keep getting away with these tweets where they just pump and dump altcoins. Yesterday, Coinbase announced 18 new candidates that they just might add to their website. Does that sound like an internal leak? Does that sound like they're trying to stimulate interest in these coins? Yes, it does. Does it sound illegal? Probably. We'll see. Certainly distasteful. And check out the Apennine Colossus in Florence. I didn't get to see this one while I was there. It looks very cool. It's by a pond. And a friend of mine joked that he's looking for his treasure. Oh, he's just dropped it right there in the pond. And as you know, treasures don't float. You can get the new t-shirt at the World Crypto Network store at worldcryptonetwork.store. And you can get a Treasures Don't Float t-shirt to explain people what happened to all your Bitcoin. Just like this guy here. Treasures don't float. Very cool statue. Here's a close-up even. Nice. Oh, we talked about this earlier. Matthias Baldwin in Philadelphia defaced with the words colonizer and murderer. But he fought back against slavery, fought for black voting rights, and built schools for black children. So these statues from either side don't need to be outside on the public square. They'd be much happier in a museum somewhere with a nice plaque that could explain what they did so that they don't end up attacking the wrong statue. So better off. WTI oil falling by the most in 6 weeks, down 6.6% at $36.97 a barrel on demand fears. Remember, demand is the motivator of the economy. You can reopen all you want, but if people don't want to go to movie theaters, if they don't want to get a haircut, there is no demand and the market won't move. Additionally, if you have things like restrictions on how many people you can have in your restaurant or your casino or your store, you're going to have restrictions on how much money you can make. So I don't believe the economy is back yet. Dow Jones Industrial Average dropped another 0.5 point. It's back at down 5.47% in the last 24 hours, with a last of 25,513, well below a previous close of 26,987. Bitcoin prices still stabilized at 9,325. Bit of an exciting dip there for the morning. Of course, we knew that the Dow was going to fall because the futures markets showed that it was down nearly 900 points at the open after a 3% drop in after-hours trading. So this was telegraphed in the news after all the reports of the second wave of the coronavirus hit the news, and everyone realized if there's a second wave of the coronavirus, that's not good for stocks. It's almost like we went out too early, like we ignored the experts. We flattened the curve, but we didn't reduce the curve to nothing, and we went right back out into the virus. As Joseph Young writes, Warren Buffett is looking like a genius again. Airline stocks are down double digits before the market opened. Ooh. John Volker writes, just to be clear, the President of the United States is forcefully rejecting calls to rename military installations named after traitors. Traitors who took up arms against the government of the United States in support of an economy based on human slavery. Wrap your head around that. And it is a tough one. Maybe somehow you've made it through it and you've sided with Trump on all the other ones and you stuck with him even when he was suggesting that you inject disinfectant and or light directly into your human body. Even then, you stuck with him. But now, he's defending military installations named after traitors. Traitors who took up arms against the government of the United States in support of an economic system based on slavery. That's a tough one. That's a tough one to stick with. I guess you use the tradition argument. You say it's a tradition, therefore we must keep doing things that way. But that's not a very strong argument at all. We'll see. We'll see how this goes in the next couple days, if we're renaming Fort Hood or not. What to watch today? CNBC. Future programming headlines. Dow set to sink on concerns about a second wave of coronavirus in the U.S. It's almost just what I was saying 2 weeks ago. It's deja vu all over again, as Yogi Berra said. And check out my friend Dan's website, Reward Portal. You can earn Satoshis by taking surveys at rewardportal.com. And also, if you'd like to give out surveys, you can pay people to respond to your survey in Satoshis at Reward Portal. Check it out. Thanks to Ben for helping Dan out with the Lightning Network. You can use the Lightning Network. Try it out at rewardportal.com. And this is a tough one to take because I was enjoying using Zoom software, but they just keep attacking the people that use their software. It's the strangest thing. I've ever seen a company do. Certainly, they had problems early on. Their software was badly written and it wasn't encrypted. So naturally, one would just assume now that they have tons and tons of money, they could hire people and encrypt their software. But Zoom said that they wouldn't be encrypting their free software because they wanted to participate with law enforcement. And that was very strange. So they were only protecting their paying customers. And now Zoom has suspended a US-based activist's account after a Tiananmen Square commemoration event. So you can't talk about the Tiananmen Square massacre on Zoom because Zoom is apparently based or owned somehow by China. I've never seen a company do this to their users before, but yes, we all need to go delete our Zoom accounts, cancel our service, and figure out a new way to stream shows. This is very strange. I bought the Zoom service when they canceled Google Hangouts. I didn't want to buy it. I don't like paying. And I guess I'm going to go back to Skype, right? Because this Zoom thing is out of control. Now, where's the cancel button? Let's see. So I'm in profile. I'm looking for it. Let's see. Advanced account management, I guess. Account profile. Let's see. Account profile. Account settings. Let's see. Billing. Billing sounds like a good one. Upgrade plan. Here we go. Cancel subscription. So again, I'm going to use Skype, I guess. So if we have a terrible service or something like that, it's going to be through Skype. But there it is. Cancel subscription. Are you sure you want to go? Cancel. Let's see. There's no option for Zoom being politically poor. Let's see. Let's see. Banning activists. I can't really spell Tiananmen Square. Let me go copy that. Sorry, Tiananmen Square. Not a big speller. But we have ways around that. Bad Zoom. So there it is right here. Canceling Zoom live. No more Zoom. So I guess we're going to see about Skype video or maybe Google Hangouts, and I'll use that tomorrow for the Bitcoin group. Should change and go away. But there it is. Your subscription has been canceled. So I hope everyone else will do that now and just get rid of Zoom. Enough of this company. U.S. oil prices tumble 7% as worries of a resurgence in coronavirus and rise in U.S. inventories slams futures. It's almost like we've been saying the whole time. Demand is not going to come back. Demand for oil, demand for restaurants, demand for movies, demand for concerts. We need to kill the virus. We need to end it by staying inside until it's gone and developing a vaccine. What we did is we stayed inside until the curve was flat, not until the virus was gone. By going out too early, we reintroduced the virus. We're having a second wave faster than we would have had normally. And the stock markets are waking up to this. They're like, hey, virus isn't over. Everyone was out, not wearing masks, having fun in Vegas, didn't care at all, spreading the virus. It's not over. The stocks are starting to wake up to it. The price of Bitcoin also followed the stocks down, recovered a little bit, now 9,347. But a very exciting morning and a very predictable morning at that. As Paul Graham says, usually it's hard for a new startup to catch a company with a lead like Zoom, but Zoom's links with China could give another competitor a toehold, and a toehold is all you need. So if you're thinking of starting a competitor, it might work. So again, Yale is considering not using Zoom anymore because they're not supporting protests in Tiananmen Square, and they're not encrypting their users' traffic. Zoom is a bad company. They need to go. It's another fun story. I'll get this loaded up here. So Liam Bennett, not sure who he is, but he had a wild few minutes where the actual president of the United States was following him on Twitter and even sent him a message. So let's check out this fun and exciting story. If you could play golf with one celebrity, who would it be? And Liam Bennett wrote, I'd pick real Donald Trump. He was great in Home Alone 2. So it's obviously kind of a joke already. But then all of a sudden, the president follows him. There was only 46 people that the president was following, and one of them was this guy. Hey, Liam, I saw you wanted to play golf with me. Next time I'm in England, I'll take you and your family up to my Trump International course in Scotland. It's the best course in the world. And Liam replied, Wow, thanks for messaging me, but I think you're a despicable human being. And even if I could play golf, I wouldn't want to play with you. How about resigning? And Trump blocked him. So it might just be a joke. Anyone could edit and Photoshop tweets like that. But what a fun little story from Liam, huh? Stocks plunge at the open. We knew about this. JJ Powell needs to start sending his trillions in free money to Robinhooders because his Wall Street friends are scaredy cats, unwilling to bet on companies who have filed for bankruptcy. The Robinhood people were very happy they'd bought Hertz recently. Hertz had gone out of business, the car rental company. Then it went up 150% because these people are buying it now. It's back down. So it pumps, then it dumps. And I think we're almost to the end. And Istvan reminds me not to forget to call bullshit on the weak and unreliable coronavirus tests. There's a lot of antibody tests going out there now, and not a lot of them work. So a lot of people are being told that they have antibodies for coronavirus or they don't have them. And the truth is, you have no idea because the test is bad. So we need better tests that work better, more information. Here's the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff apologizing for being at Lafayette Square, where Trump asked the military and the police to clear the protesters violently with tear gas so that he could have a press op and a photo op across the street. More and more military leaders are speaking out against this event, embarrassed that they were there. As Aaliyah Green says, Washington Redskins, you're up next. And we really do need to be focusing on, if we're going to change the names, if we're going to make things better. NASCAR, of all people, has banned the Confederate flag. So this is the time for everyone to change their name. And we did it. We made it to the top of the news. We survived. Thanks to everybody for joining me in the chat. It seems like 50 people stuck it with us all the way through the news. We had some exciting times in Bitcoin. Price of Bitcoin started out around 9,700, fell all the way to 9,084 before recovering to 9,349. That's pretty good. We also covered a lot of stories. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is down 5.5% so far today. That's a full $1,483 down, 25,506. Please support this show by giving us a thumbs up and a share. If you'd like to, you can buy a t-shirt at worldcryptonetwork.store. We've got the brand new Treasures Don't Float t-shirt by Philippe. What happened to all your Bitcoin? There was a horrible boating accident. Tell people the quick way. Treasures don't float at worldcryptonetwork.store. Thanks so much for joining us. Until next time, bye-bye.